All right, hello everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to do the boss element of the game. So I'm going to review a couple of things with this, and then I'm going to show you how to do the boss part. So when you get to once you have your level kind of designed, and again you can see here, we did the title screen, we have everything kind of set up with that. We have the second level, which is very similar to the first. I just changed the scenery, which is kind of part of the game process. I could go in and add more of the enemies, like I said, or I showed you in the previous lesson. You can copy and paste um, these enemies if you want. So it's pretty helpful sometimes. When you get into more advanced game engines like Unity or Unreal, these are what are called prefabs, which means that you get everything set up for the enemy. And then after you've set it up, you can just reuse it in different areas of your game or in your scene. So in Fusion, it's called a frame, but in Unreal and 3D game engines like Unity and Unreal, it would be called a scene instead of a frame. Now, when we go to frame two, which is this one, I'm going to kind of change it up. So I'm going to keep Spyco and I'm going to add a couple of things just to do a quick demonstration. So if I go here, again, I'm going to add Spyco. I'm going to go ahead and change Spyco's movement to be platform, which will be right here. I'm gonna add a couple of like small platforms for Spyco to land on. So I'll use these as an example. And again, I might just copy and paste this just to make it easy for me to code the condition. So I might have like a frame here, and then I'll add one maybe right here. Okay. Now, the other thing that I'm going to add is a laser. So if I go, and this is what Spyco is going to kind of throw or shoot at the enemy that's going to be moving up here. So I'm going to pick a laser. I'll just pick this green one. And what you'll see is that I've put it outside of the frame. The reason I've done that is because I don't want it to be just stuck here during the gameplay, but I want it in my game. So if you put it on the outside like this, it's still there. You can call it, which means that if I can press a key and I can use it, but it's not just something that's sitting here on the frame like this. Okay. And I probably am going to have to do a little bit of testing to make sure that everything is good with the level. But overall, this is what I'm going to kind of include. I'm also going to add my other elements like the lives. So I'll go here, I'll do insert new object. I'm going to find my lives. I'm going to have them up here. And the other element that I'm going to add is a counter for the enemy. So I'll show you that in a second. I'm going to use just the very basic space backdrop right here just as a way for to kind of keep with my theme. So in my first frame, I had Spyco's adventure. It looked like this. My second frame is going to be sort of this setting. We can call it like maybe a health center or something. And then this one is going to be my boss level. And again, I can go in here if you ever want to change things. I can call this like level one. I can call this one level two. And then I can call this one right here boss. So it's a good way to keep track of scenes. If you had more scenes, this would be pretty much essential. Like when we go into we do our lessons with Unity and Unreal, you're going to see that we'll name our scenes everything too. So now that I'm here, I'm going to pick something kind of basic for my boss. I will just pick one of these. So since this was our enemy before, I'm just going to make this one bigger, something like that. You'll notice this dithering that occurs when you add the image. That just means that it's looking pixelated because again it's enlarging the image based on pixels. So the computer's kind of guessing how big to make these pixels, and it's sort of just filling it in for you, which is okay. Actually, I don't like it, so I'm going to move it like this. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a counter for the boss. So I'm going to go here, and you'll see that the counter is right here. Now, what is going to be different about this counter is it's not going to be a traditional counter. So when you're on your screen and you see this right here where it says settings, you'll have something here that says the type. and I can go in and I can change it to a horizontal bar like this. And it's going to serve the same function, but the difference is that it will take away a section of this counter instead of just counting down. So I'm going to make it something that's really going to stand out, this red bar right here. And you'll also notice it says initial value, and I want to make that something that is kind of manageable. So at least to start and for testing. So I'm going to set the value at 10, and then it's going to count down from there. I'm going to leave the minimum value at 0, and I'm going to, again, set this maximum value at 10, which will be important. You can see when I clicked on it, it was a huge number. You do need to make sure that you change that, because if you don't, then you're not going to notice any difference in the counter, and you'll probably never get to the end of the level. So that will be a big part of it. And then because we're doing a game that doesn't have a dedicated like victory screen or score or anything like that, I'm going to make it so that I can just when I defeat this counter gets to 0, it'll say something like you win. So I'll do the same thing. I'm going to go to new object. I'm going to go in here to this string. I'm going to place this again, just like the laser. I'm going to place this off to the side, and I'm going to type in you win, just like this. Okay. Now again, this is a space background, and if I wanted to change, like we did with the title screen, if you wanted to change the text options, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to put maybe something more celebratory, like this blue color. And then I'm also going to change the font. So to do that in Fusion, you click on the font, and then I'm just going to have it be like 72. I'm going to hit OK. Again, you won't see it, so I want to make sure that I can see the entire string, and I'm just going to keep it off to the side like this, and I'm going to go ahead and center it as well. Okay, so now I'm ready to set my conditions, and we'll go ahead and start with that. So when I go to the first thing is Spyco, I'm going to do a collision. I'm going to pick another object, and I will pick the brick. Okay. And I'm just gonna have, like I said here, I'm gonna have Spyco, and Spyco is going to stop. All right. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it so that if Spyco falls, then I can have it so that they will lose a life. So if I do position, I'll do test position. I'm gonna have it hit the bottom right here. And again, same thing. I'm gonna destroy Spyco. I'm going to subtract from the number of lives, and then I'm going to make a new Spyco somewhere probably right there. I'm going to hit OK. Okay. And the next thing is I want Spyco to be able to launch the projectile at the boss, or the boss as I have it right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the key. So you'll see all these icons. You'll see something that says the mouse pointer and keyboard. I'm going to go to the keyboard. Then I'm going to pick upon pressing a key, and I'm just going to use the space bar. And you could pick whatever key you wanted, but I just picked the space bar. And then the new aspect of this is whenever I press the space bar, if you go to the Spyco column and right click, you'll see something that says launch an object, and I'm going to pick the laser. It's going to say what direction do you want it to go. I'm going to make it easy for myself for this, although there's a lot of options. I'm just going to have it go to the right just to keep things kind of straightforward. And then I'm going to hit OK. So now what'll happen if I look at my event list, it'll say when you hit the space bar, this is going to launch this to the right at a speed of 100. And I'll just leave it there. Okay, now the last part, at least for the basic conditions, is I'm going to have it so that if the laser collides with the boss, so I'll see this condition here, if you go under the counter, which now looks like this because it's a health bar, you right click, you'll see this, it'll say subtract from counter. I'm going to type in 1. Okay. Now, when I hit play, what I should see, and you can see this right here, is I have a few things, and Spyco kind of does this. animation when you hit this. So if I jump, you're going to see that it's not perfect, but it's also okay. And now you can see the counter is going lower. So it's deleting a little bit of the health bar as the laser collides with the box or the bounding box of the character. Now, the last part of this is I want to make this maybe more challenging. That's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to win. So I'm going to set this character on a path, and I'm just going to make this move something kind of simple. I'm just going to have this move kind of like up and down like this. And remember from the other lesson, if you want it to repeat this path, if you highlight it, you'll see it move like this. And I'm going to have it loop and reverse. Now, another thing that I can do is I can add a projectile for that character. So, same idea. If I go into the shoot 'em up space game, I'm going to pick this blue laser and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to add this over here. And I'm also, since I'm on the screen and I noticed that the gravity was not great and I couldn't really jump very high, I'm going to put 10 for this and keep everything else the same. All right. So after this point, I'm ready to kind of make it so that the boss will launch a projectile at me every couple seconds. So if you go up here, you're going to see the timer, and then you're going to see like this, all of these options. So if I click every, I'm going to make it like, we'll just keep it a little bit basic every 2 seconds. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the boss that I did with Spyco. So if I go to this column, and I right click, you're still going to see that option, launch an object. I'm going to pick this laser that I've assigned to it. And again, I'm going to just say I want to go to the left. That's all I want it to do. And now I can set the condition so that if this hits Spyco, I will subtract a life. Now I won't do a thing where it restarts or destroys or any of that. I'm just going to do subtract from number of lives. I'm going to type in 1. Okay, and so that's all here. Now I'm ready for my final conditions that will go with this game. So when I go into my new condition right here, again, you can see that all of this is set up. The first thing is whenever number of lives equals 0, I am going to go here and I'm going to have the player have to restart the entire game if they get to 0 at this point. The other thing that I want to do is that I'm going to click on this counter and you're going to see this option that says compare the counter to a value. If it's 0, which is what I have here, then I'm going to add that string and I'm going to put this kind of in the center. So I'll center it as much as I can. That looks fine. And now I'm ready to test it. So let's see how it goes. All right. So you can see that the boss is kind of moving. Now, I do have a bit of an issue with playability, so I'm going to test a few things here, and you can see that everything's kind of working as it's intended. But I have a bit of a problem in that when I fall here, and you can see that this just restarted. So I'm going to go ahead and play the game and just kind of see how it goes. So here I go. Again, if I hit the enemy, it makes me restart at the spawn, which is here. That's okay. And there I go. Okay, same thing. Again, that's not too different of a level. Do it a bit of a speed run here. And now I am at the boss. All right, so you can see that I have a bit of an issue right there, but now I have won the level. Of course, I may want to close the application because it still runs. I didn't have it destroy the enemy, and I can do that as well. So when this counter equals 0, I can also just right click and destroy. Okay, so this is the very basics of making like a boss level game. There is a lot to it, but the nice thing is once this is all set up, you can easily change some of the mechanics, make it more challenging, more engaging. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this style of game. And a lot of game engines have conditions that are like this. So I hope you enjoyed making this game. It does take a little bit of time, but I think there's a lot that you would add to it when you're building projects like this, because it has a lot of the conditions that you would be seeing in almost every style of 2D game.